Hey everybody, I'm James Milan, and we are coming to you from Maida Pharmacy in East Arlington. I hesitate to call things institutions in town, but Maida Pharmacy is one, and we are going to be talking with the latest two generations of Maida Pharmacy owners, Larry Maida first, and then his son Angelo. I am interested to start the conversation with I just mentioned I regard this place as an institution in town. The reason for that is that it has been in your family for multiple generations. Can you tell us how far back does it go, and just give us a little history of the place?
Sure. My grandfather was the established Maida Pharmacy in 1933. So we're since 1933, and we're 4 generations now old, and keep on growing. We're growing and going, hopefully to the 5th. Back in those days, my grandfather, all he did was compound, pre-World War II. So that was the pharmacist back in then is what they did, is prepared medications ordered by the physician for their patient.
You know, tell us what else you remember from that time. Kind of, again, if you can put on your kid's eyes or your kid's lens, looking at your father and your grandfather doing their work. You know, how did that affect you? And did you always know that you wanted to kind of follow in their footsteps, or what?
That's a big yes. I had no other work in mind except to be a pharmacist, because I had my grandfather working, my father working. I was always working in here, either as a kid putting newspapers together, the Boston Globes, you know, ABC.
Oh, people would also come for their newspapers.
Yeah,
here.
Because they had the church there, and that was really active, and they'd come in down from the church and pick up the Globes. I was running the register, helping my father out. My grandfather out. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's fast forward a little bit. As I mentioned, I was here. I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, various times for a little while, and I just remember walking in, and the place it looked like other kinds of pharmacies that I know, where you had rows, you know, various rows full of medications of different sorts, et cetera. And now there's a very different look to the place. Tell us about the changes and how those came about between, you know, what the place looked like in, say, 2016 and what it does now.
It was a regular, conventional retail pharmacy plus compounding, which we've always done compounding, but we had the retail aspect of pharmacy as well. But I decided I got the love and the joy of compounding, of making medicine and helping patients out with their doctors from compounding. So I decided to go 100% compounding and making medicine for the doctors and their patients. So whenever a patient had a problem, I would come up with a solution. And I'd like to be a solution maker.
It sounds to me, and feel free to correct me, it sounds to me that you know, traditional pharmacies have just rows and rows of different forms of pain relievers or something to help with your gastrointestinal system or this or that or the other thing. And whereas compounding is like on a case-by-case basis, you're really doing and you're individualizing the treatment for that particular patient?
Every patient is unique. Every patient is different. Every patient has a unique, individualized, thought out formulation that I come up with from the doctor when we collaborate with that doctor for his or her patient. I should say not only the doctor, I should say physician's assistant, nurse practitioners, nurse midwives that we work with, so a whole array of practitioners. And whether it's musculoskeletal neuropathies, nerve pain, neuropathies. Could be wound care. Those are those ulcerations, ulcers. It could be, oh my goodness, there's so much. I have to have ideas. People have to present me these things. So migraines, vascular spasms. I have to give ointments that I make, creams that I make.
Wow, so it's not just pills? It's
No,
not
it's not just, it's not, I mean, I can put transdermal creams. So in other words, my big one is, let's say you can't take a pill by mouth. Let's say ibuprofen. I'm going to give everybody knows ibuprofen. And it bothers their stomach. Okay, and they got a shoulder injury. So what we can do is we can put that ibuprofen into a transdermal cream, along with maybe, I would ask, are they in pain? Most likely they're in pain. I would put a medication in there for the pain. And then what's really good is I put a muscle relaxant, but not one that you might think of. I love to use magnesium. Magnesium itself is a muscle relaxant. So that's an all-in-one cream.
That's so cool. So you have cream as the medium.
As the medium, the base.
Yep, right. And then you are able to include all of the different elements that can address that particular patient's whole
issue that's just given to me. I help with, I was going to say, pediatrics. A lot of children, babies, they get really rashes, either from an antibiotic or we treat we make a lot of paste. The term butt paste, but
right. That's where the rashes happen a lot of the time.
And, so we have good results with that. With the pediatrics.
So all you young parents out there, pay attention here. You got a solution, local.
But I think that's kind of what I want to express to everyone. I'm here with a question, hoping to give a solution. We can do a lot in regards to making medicine. There's multiple things. The sky's the limit, I like to say. Sometimes even the commercial product's strength doesn't exist where the doctor wants it. Maybe, let's say, example 50, but he only wants 10. Doesn't exist at 10 milligrams. Well, he calls me and says, can you make 10 milligrams for my patient? 50 milligrams is not tolerable. Or maybe allergies, allergenic. Can we remove what's in or these certain dyes that might react to a patient? So we want to go dye-free or make something hypoallergenic. So there's another area.
I can definitely see from what you've just describing why it is that you would choose to do that all the time, because that's where the adventure is. It sounds like that's where each day you get to do something a little bit different, I guess, right? Because as you said, each patient is unique, et cetera. I'm going to ask you one other question, and then we'll speak to the next generation.
The next generation coming up,
But that is, I think viewers will have noted that behind you, on the shelves behind you, are a number of kind of archival pieces, I would say. You don't have to tell us what they are, but just tell us a little bit about why they're there.
To show, memorabilia of from Maida Pharmacy back the generations of since my grandfather. That big balance there that's all he did. That's all he made medicine. That's all we did back then. And there was really, I don't think so. pharmaceutical companies came around, I think, around the 40s, entered.
Kind of came into the picture, mass producing
Yeah, mass
things
producing,
and-
maybe 50, yeah, in the 40s, after World War II. But in his generation, my grandfather, that's all they did was make medicine and compounded. If you ever see that movie, Wonderful Life,
Oh yeah,
and the pharmacist
It's
there?
a Wonderful Life.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah.
it's what it looks like.
He's exactly
Yeah,
right. That
yeah.
was his generation, yeah.
All right, so everything on those shelves, I assume, was stuff that was actually used at one point or
At
another,
one point or another,
in the
yeah.
pharmacy.
In the pharmacy, that's right.
Angelo Maida is the fourth generation of the family here with a lab coat on, doing your work. So I wanted to ask you just a couple of questions about, how this experience is for you as a noted young person, I have to say, around here.
True.
So I was going to say your dad talked about how things were when he was a kid and hanging around here and seeing his grandfather and his father. Was it a similar thing for you, or?
Yeah, there was a similar experience. I would kind of come in and out through, mostly through high school and in some of college, working the cash register, the front store, and even running in and out of the lab as needed to help out and start learning about pharmacy practice and even some compounding.
But did you know from the time that you started to be working here or hanging out in this space as a high schooler, did you have the sense that this was going to be what you did as well?
I think it was in the back of my mind. I think throughout high school, studying things like biology and chemistry and math, it always was in the back of my mind. And then when it came down to make the decision to go to pharmacy school, I took the chance and have really grown to really love it. And I think compounding pharmacy practice is probably one of the more rewarding specialties of pharmacy practice that a pharmacist can get into. And managing a small business with Larry is very rewarding.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, I understand that you are willing to take us back into the lab where some of the magic of compounding happens and explain something that's going on. So let's go ahead and do that.
All right, let's do it. So here we have a typical setup of a compounded medication. This setup is typical of preparing a capsule. So this is our enclosed powder containment hood that would normally be turned on. This provides a protected environment where we can compound in. This is a capsule setup, so we have our capsule machine, a few powders that we would weigh out on our scale here. The compounding pharmacist or technician would weigh the ingredients according to the formula, blend them in a mortar and pestle here, and then carefully fill the capsules using equipment, and then ultimately close the capsules.
Basically, you're taking the powder, you're combining all the things you need to combine, and then you use a special instrument to just get it into little capsule molds.
Exactly.
And then you cover the capsule.
Yep, and this would these powders might be for maybe patient-specific doses of a medication. The ingredients we have here are for a thyroid medication that we might compound for.
Very cool. What else have you got here?
Over here, I have a beaker that's mixing, typical of making like a solution that we might turn into, say, a nasal spray. So this is a device that would administer a nasal spray. It's just filled with water, but something like that. And back here we have just more equipment that we might make, also a liquid medication. Say we need to flavor a medication for a patient, get the right texture, color, and flavor and viscosity for a patient. So another example of a dosage form we might create.
So what's happening in the beaker there? Is that basically mixing different?
Yeah.
That's your mixing mechanism?
Yeah, mostly for if we're making a solution, so something that's going to dissolve completely in a solvent, in this case maybe water. One example of a common formulation we might make is someone with a chronic nosebleeds throughout the winter. We would make a nasal spray for them. That's one of our more common things we make. So we have some other pieces of equipment here that would be relevant to, say, making creams and topicals we might make for dermatologists, patients, or pain creams for pain specialists or podiatrists or family medicine. This is a piece of equipment that mixes topical cream, so we would place this in this piece here, and it would essentially mix the cream together. And to make the cream more cosmetic and help deliver medications once it's done mixing, we'd roll it through an ointment mill. Once turned on, these blades roll together, and it micronizes the cream and makes it more cosmetic and helps deliver the medication at the site of action better. And then if a patient wants it in a tube, we can place the medication in a tube, seal it up. Or if a patient wants it in more of a delivery pump, we can do that as well. So that's the process of making a topical cream. We also have another dosage form we do is suppositories. These are some suppository molds that would be filled using a syringe, and we'd have a base melted similar to the solution, and we'd fill up the medication and sort of fill the suppositories as needed. So those are a couple examples of other dosage forms, we call them, and some pieces of equipment we might use in the compounding lab.
And that'll wrap up our visit here to Maida Pharmacy. We want to thank the Maida family for inviting us in here, and just say that we enjoyed our visit, and we're sure you will as well. Don't forget, these guys have been around for 92 years. They know what they're doing.